Hi, this is Julia Grab, ABT 294 instructor, and I'm going to show you how to create your class site so it looks like what you see on the screen here. We've got some colors, we've got some alignment, things are stacked appropriately, and the page is a lot easier to read. Okay, here we are back in Dreamweaver, starting at the ID wrapper and then defining some of the other sections as well. So here we are in the CSS designer. You can see that the source selected is the CSS file we created. So before you can add any selectors to your CSS file, everything must be saved. So you can go ahead and go File, Save All to start. And then here in our CSS designer, I'm just going to expand it out a little bit so that we can see both the selectors and the properties at the same time. I'm going to add a selector here. So I just click the plus and then I'm going to type hash. And as soon as I do that, it selects the IDs that I have in the page. So remember the hash here is used to identify an ID in HTML. So we're going to add a few basic style properties to our wrapper. The first one we're going to use is the margin. So margin, I'm just typing that, M-A-R-G-I-N. You can tab over to the value. And we're going to set up a value so that the top and bottom margins are 0 pixels. We don't need to use pixels, it's by default 0 is 0. And then the left and right is auto, which will actually center the content in the page. So I just pressed enter to define that. And then we're also going to set the max width of our page here. And what that does is it prevents the content from scaling out wider than necessary on the page. And so we're going to restrict the width at 1024 pixels and press enter. We're going to move on now to define the body background color and overall font size. So again, clicking the plus here under selectors and typing body, or even just starting to type body, and then you can select it with your cursor by double clicking and pressing enter. And then in the properties, I'm going to add a line height. If I check off the show set, it will give me a number of the properties built in. So let's use that from now on. So we've got our text options. Line height is under text. So we're going to increase the line height so that our text is a little bit more separated. I'm going to go percentage here on my units of measurement, and 125% will increase the line height slightly. The font size we're also going to change to 125%. So I'm selecting the percentage, and you can see that by default it's 0, which means all of my text is gone. 0% means literally 0. And then typing in instead of 0, 125. The background color is under this little square here called background. And I'm going to use the hexadecimal code that I've defined here. So hash 398B96, enter, and now I get that teal sort of blue background color for the whole page. Next up, we're going to create a group selector. So again, clicking the plus, we're going to group the header and the footer elements together. They're going to have similar styles. They're going to have an increase in padding. So again, if I set the shorthand here to do 60 pixels and then space 50 pixels, this will set up the padding so that the top and bottom is 60 pixels and the left and right is 50. So this shorthand here allows me to set 4 values just using 2. We are going to set the color, which is the text color. The color is going to be the teal color I've defined for my background of the body. When I do this, I expect my background, my text on my header and footer to just sort of disappear. Right? Now we've got a background color and a text color that are the same. So really important here, I need a different background color in my header and footer. And I'm going to use a dark teal color. So that hexadecimal code is 112A2D. And there we can see the text again. The last thing I'm going to do here in my header and footer grouping is set the text alignment to be centered. And that means all the text in my header and in my footer are center aligned. Let's save. File save all. Save throughout so you don't lose your work. We have just a few more selectors to create. Let's add one for the anchor elements. This is our hyperlinks. Very important. We want our hyperlinks to stand out. And the default color is a little hard on the eyes, honestly, on this background color. So let's change the default color to be that same lighter teal. So #112A2D. And then text decoration, none. This will remove the underline. So actually that works pretty well here with my hyperlinks in the main body, not in the header and footer though. You can see now in the header and footer my link looks like it's disappeared. It's still here. It's just the same color as the background. So let's add a selector that targets the links in the header and the footer. So this is a compound group selector. And we're going to change the color here to be off-white. So EDF2FF is my off-white color there. You can see my name for the hyperlink has shown up again. One more thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the bullets from our bulleted lists. So they're just going to be using that indentation instead. So we'll add the selector for UL, unordered list. This will target all unordered lists on the page. And the list style type is the very last option under the text. We are going to change that to none. And file save. Next week you're going to do more advanced styling on this page. So make sure you go through the self-assessment to ensure that all the code has been set up properly and you're ready to go for next week.